included in your packet were the November the 9th, 2017 commissions. Did anybody find any errors and want to correct? If no corrections are offered, shall stand as approved.
Item 5A, Mayor and Commissioners, we have representatives from Lidwell, Finney County. They're here to present, they're present to present, that's interesting to read, the 2017 trail system.
Good afternoon, everyone. Hi.
Hello.
In front of you, you should have a new map. And those are provided by Livewell as well as the County Commission. And we want those out with everybody. And the City of Garden City has so graciously offered those with new employee benefits. So when they're doing new enrollment to get those out to the employees. And those are very popular product in our city and go out.
They go fast.
They do go fast.
So is there a station then on the trail that we can pick these up, or? do you
No,
just
they're
have that?
throughout the community.
Matt,
Okay,
When we have those, we don't have a kiosk. The
okay,
chamber has them,
he was
Mission
feeling
Tourism has
neglected.
them.
all right.
The trails actually will have a trailhead with a map somewhat similar to these. We actually worked with the city staff to come up with this. They provided the QR code, and they helped us with providing some of this, and then we just rearranged it so it would fit on this little handout, so.
Looks good.
Thank you.
Good
So
job.
it does.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Happy Thanksgiving.
Yes.
You all too. Mayor and Commissioners, item 6A, the governing body is asked to consider and approve a request by Garden City resident Tom Dial to dedicate the lion habitat at Lee Richardson Zoo in memory of Robert Becker. And I believe Christy is here to present on this item.
Good afternoon.
Hello.
Mr. Dial was going to be here today to answer any questions you might have, but he is sick today, so I'm your one and only. His proposal is to dedicate the lion habitat in memory of Robert Becker, who was a 29-year dedicated employee of the zoo in the city. And after he left us in 2002 officially, he continued to be dedicated to the zoo and the city in very many ways until he passed on in October. So that's the basics of the request, and if you have any questions.
Do you have any ideas of what you're going to do or make in that?
We should have pictures. This would be the approach to the lion habitat. The sign will be right there in between the graphics and the first area that the lions are in. Be right down. It'll be down low. It'll resemble the other plaque that's at the lion habitat from when it was first built.
I'll
It
scroll
won't
back
be
up
on
to
concrete, but it'll be similar in appearance. It'll be the brown background with the gold raised lettering. And then it'll be mounted on a metal stand like at the giraffe habitat, which I think there was a picture in there.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
I was gonna say, the wording is there. Bubba's answer, sorry, that's how we knew him at the zoo. Whenever you asked him what he did at the zoo, was that he ran the biggest cat house in Garden City. So the request was that we name it Bubba's Cat House, dedicated to the memory of Robert Becker.
Do you have a way to fund something like that?
Mr. Dial is going to raise it within the community,
Okay.
and then the zoo will cover mounting it, which won't take much.
Can the people of the community get a hold of him through you or make donations to you or whatever?
I'm sure we'll figure a way out. If he was here, he probably has other ideas already in mind.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor.
We'll share that word with you.
I move that we approve the request by Tom Dial to dedicate the lion habitat at Lee Richardson Zoo in memory of Robert Becker.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor of approval, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Carried 4-0.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for
Kristen.
coming and filling in for him.
Item 6B, Micah Bunch, Executive Director of Garden City Downtown Vision, Inc., on behalf of Garden City Downtown Vision, Inc., the Garden City Area Chamber of Commerce, and the Finney County Convention and Visitors Bureau, requests the governing body consider and approve allowing the mayor to proclaim Saturday, November 25th, 2017, as Shop Small Saturday in Garden City.
Can we talk now or after the,
Go ahead.
last year I made a mistake and talked too soon, so. Just want to, thank you for agreeing to do this proclamation, as everyone might be aware. The National Small Business Saturday is coming up this Saturday. It's always the Saturday following Thanksgiving. So we encourage everyone in the community to shop small that day. And not only that day, but throughout the season and definitely throughout the year. There are so many economic impacts that, there are a lot of statistical figures on just how much, the money you spend with local businesses goes back into our local economy. And so it's all around a win-win for everybody. And so we just really encourage everyone to, come downtown, shop small throughout Garden City this weekend, all throughout the holiday season, and support your locally owned businesses because they work really hard. A lot of our locally owned businesses downtown, they are, one-person shops. They are there in the morning when they open it, and they are there in the evening when the store closes, and they work 6 days a week. And so let's get out and support them this weekend. So we appreciate the proclamation and our partnership with the CBB, the Chamber. We're all in this together. So we appreciate the support.
Mayor, if you want to join Micah up front after the vote, I can read the proclamation while you're doing it.
I'll make the motion that we approve the proclamation as presented.
I'll second.
And a motion and a second to approve the proclamation to support small business downtown. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Carried 4-0.
The proclamation reads, whereas the city of Garden City, Kansas believes that small businesses are the backbone of our economy and the glue that holds the community together, and whereas according to the United States Small Business Administration, there are currently 28.8 million small businesses in the United States, representing 99.7% of all businesses with employees in the United States, and are responsible for 63% of net new jobs created over the past 20 years. And whereas a majority of U.S. consumers agree it is important to support the small businesses they value in their communities, and most are willing to pledge support for a buy local small business initiative like Small Business Saturday. And whereas Garden City supports our local businesses that boost our local economy and preserve our neighborhoods, and whereas advocacy groups and public and private organizations across the country have endorsed the Saturday after Thanksgiving as Small Business Saturday, and whereas we encourage citizens to consider shopping small merchants on Small Business Saturday as a way to boost the local economy and strengthen our small business community. Now, therefore, I, Mayor Melvin Dale, Mayor of Garden City, Kansas, do hereby proclaim November 25th, 2017 as Small Business Saturday in the city of Garden City, and urge all residents of the city to join in this observance. Signed and sealed this 21st day of November, Melvin Dale.
And I have the directors of the partnering organizations and their board chairs up in my photo as well.
Jump in.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Nobody better than a
Guess
bunch
that's
of women
smart.
to represent shopping, right?
Yes.
We can be the ends of this group. Pull it out here and
Show the front side of the camera.
zip right down there.
One more? Awesome.
Very good. Have a successful Saturday. Mayor and Commissioners, item 6C, the governing body is asked to consider and approve allowing the mayor to proclaim Tuesday, November 28th, 2017 as Giving Tuesday.
I'll make the motion, we approve the proclamation as presented.
Second?
And a motion and a second to approve the, allowing the mayor to proclaim Tuesday, November 28th as Giving Tuesday.
Mayor, I don't know that we have anybody. Deb, do you want to take a picture with the mayor for Giving Tuesday? For your organization that benefits from Giving Tuesday? I don't know. It's a surprise. He gives us an opportunity to post something on social media. I'll read it if you want to.
I call for the vote.
All right. All in favor of declaring November 28th as Giving Tuesday?
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Carried.
Proclamation reads, whereas Giving Tuesday was established as a national day of giving on the Tuesday following Thanksgiving, and whereas Giving Tuesday is a celebration of philanthropy and volunteerism where people give whatever they are able to give, and whereas Giving Tuesday is a day where citizens work together to share commitments, rally for favorite causes, build a stronger community, and think about other people. And whereas it is fitting and proper on Giving Tuesday and on every day to recognize the tremendous impact of philanthropy, volunteerism, and community service in the city of Garden City. Let's make sure we print this with our name in it. And whereas Giving Tuesday is an opportunity to encourage citizens to serve others throughout this holiday season and during other times of the year. Now, therefore, I, Mayor Melvin Dale, Mayor of Garden City, Kansas, do hereby proclaim November 28th, 2017 as Giving Tuesday in Garden City, and encourage all citizens to join together to give back to the community in any way that is personally meaningful. Signed and sealed this 21st day of November 2017.
Well, and Kelly Dyers also live well Kitty County on match day as well. So.
All right.
That'll work.
Join her.
Where will we go?
Wherever you want to be.
All right.
Come back here, come back here, right here.
Who's leading this?
Where do you want me? Right there.
All right, 1, 2, 3. Do one more. Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you, lady.
All right, I think with that, we're ready for item 8A, the manager's report. Congratulations to Finance Director Melinda Hitz on the occasion of the city receiving the Certificate of Achievement in Financial Reporting for 2016. And we submit our comprehensive annual financial report every year upon its conclusion. I think our auditors actually submit it to GFOA. They review this, and for kind of losing track, 26th time we've received this award, I think.
Since 1994.
Since
I'll
ni-
let you do the math.
Since 1994, whatever that math is. So, yeah. This is a big honor. There aren't many communities in the state of Kansas that achieve this level of designation, and we're certainly proud of not just Melinda, but all the department directors, the governing body as well. This not only reviews your books, it reviews your management practices, your the approval processes you say you're going to do, that you do them, and it's a full-fledged operational audit, and the reporting of that as part of our annual report meets with the highest praise, and we're proud of that. Item B, presentation, item B through F are all department monthly reports. If you have any questions on those reports, we'd be happy to answer those. If not, I'll call your attention to item 8, meetings of note. The December 15th Mayor's Christmas Dinner will be at 6:30 p.m. January 29th, 2018 is the Southwest Kansas Night Out in Topeka, I think it's called.
When is that again?
January 29th. It's on Kansas Day.
You're right.
Imagine that, you're right.
It's pretty handy. So if you're interested in attending that in Topeka, we can get you more information on the exact start time.
Okay.
Usually around 6:30, that reception starts.
And I had looked also for the City Hall Day by the league, and that's on, I believe, the 26th, so. If you ever attend the League of Kansas Municipalities City Hall Day.
Thank you. And we'll be sure to add that to the
Double check
meetings
the
of
date,
note.
don't trust me.
Okay. We'll just put in parentheses under the next agenda's meeting of note that Commissioner Law said. It was the 26th. With that, I think we're ready for 9A appropriation ordinance. If approved, it would be number 2447-2017A.
I'll make the motion that we approve appropriation ordinance 2447-2017A.
Second?
Had a motion approved, or motion and second to approve appropriation ordinance 2447-2017A. If no other discussion, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. Thank you.
Item 10A, the governing body is asked to consider and approve a resolution authorizing the execution of the Buckeye Wind Farm Project Agreement between the City of Garden City, Kansas and the Kansas Municipal Energy Agency. If approved, it would be resolution number 2717-2017. Mike?
Good afternoon, Commissioners. This resolution would authorize the mayor to sign the necessary agreements for Garden City to participate with KMEA in the Buckeye Wind Farm project. KMEA was given the opportunity to enter into a 25-year fixed-price power purchase agreement negotiated by KMEA with the Buckeye Wind project. And this project is located near Hayes, Kansas. The project's been in commercial operation since December of 2015, and it consists of 112 wind turbines and produces approximately 200 megawatts of power. The turbines are expected to produce energy at a capacity factor similar to other projects. What that means is typically the wind only generates energy, but there's so many of them and it's such a large complex that you can count on 2 megawatts of capacity to come out of there. That's a big plus. A lot of wind projects don't have that. If approved, we would begin taking delivery of 15 megawatts through KMEA in June of 2018. This will replace 15 megawatts of wind that we currently receive from Spearville and 3 megawatts from EMP2 membership. That both of those will expire on December 31st of 2018. And then in addition to that, our current, we have a Heartland Consumer Power District contract for 30 megawatts. That will expire in 2020. And the remaining excess energy that we'll be getting from this will be used to offset energy we currently purchase off the market. This is a fixed price purchase power agreement, and you can see the initial cost is $10.25 per megawatt hour. Escalates up to the year 2033 to $14.31 per megawatt hour. Currently, we pay, and most receive on the wind side, it's $20 to $22 per megawatt hour. So even in January of 2033, the power we're going to purchase, if we approve this, is cheaper than what we're paying today. What we'll do, though, if you approve this, is it'll cost Garden City about $622,000 per year for this segment of our power supply. In 2018, we'll actually pay $47,000 more than we did in 2017, and that's primarily due to 2 things. One is there's some existing transmission lines being built in the area. They're not into service yet. Once they go into service, then we won't pay that transmission tariff, and it will drive that price down. And some of our contracts overlap by about 6 months in 2018. However, beginning in 2019, we conservatively estimate that we'll save approximately $141,000 per year, every year, for the remainder of the term of this contract. We've had, of course, John Krowski from JK Engineering review all of the agreements, the proposed wind, the power supply factor that comes out of there. And he's made his recommendation is that Garden City would consider moving forward with this. Also, on the very last page of all of those documents, there's a chart that shows what we're currently paying for power in some segments and where this relates to it. You can see it up there now, the very bottom line, the red line is Buckeye. That's what, if you approve this today, that's what our costs are be, right at $10 a megawatt hour. Compared to some of the other things that we have, you can see Heartland is the yellow dash lined up above. EMP2 is the dash blue line going right across. So there'll be a significant drop in the cost of that power. We also, of course, Randy, the city attorney, reviewed the agreement. So has our outside consultant, Greg Ottinger from Duncan and Allen. And staff recommends that you approve this resolution and authorize the mayor to sign the agreements. Or you can choose not to, and we'll continue to look elsewhere.
I move we approve resolution number 2717-2017.
Second.
Had a motion and a second to approve resolution 2717, a resolution of the city of Garden City, Kansas, authorizing the execution of a Buckeye Wind Farm project agreement. Any other discussion?
I've got a few questions. The 25-year contract, the fixed price table is 15 years. The next 10 after that are flat at 1431? Or
Yes, they are.
So,
Yes, they are.
and then the other thing I saw in here was several ifs and are expecteds and anticipateds and we hope so's and you know, you're going to have that. Nobody can guarantee 100% anything, but you know, what if some of those didn't work out? Where would that leave us in this deal?
We're only going to be required to pay for what we take out of that wind farm. So in the event that something would happen and it cannot produce, then we will not be obligated to that. KMEA won't be obligated. Our contract that you approve today will be between Garden City and KMEA. There's conditions in there should the transmission system fail that's not the fault of the wind producer or the power producer. That's not their fault, that's somebody else's fault, and we would have to pay for the wind that they produce that we could not get. That's true. That's no different than some of the contracts we have in place today.
For
It's a
coal-fired
take or pay.
power or any other kind?
Absolutely.
So would there be any going back on the transmission agreement at that point in time, or we just, I mean, it's just a risk of doing business more or less?
Well, you know, it would depend upon why the transmission system failed between here and there. If it was an act of God or, you know, something like that, then no, we're not going to be able to. But if it was a system, somebody operated the system incorrectly that caused damage to Garden City, we probably have an avenue to research that way. The typical, it's a pretty typical power contract. It seems like both sides always put the ifs and ands. And
Right,
buts in
yeah,
there.
that's not, there was quite a few of them that seemed to, you know, enough of them, if a couple of them failed, that was my question, where would that leave us? And then some that will be okay, and some maybe still have some expense that we're not realizing any benefit from.
Sure.
But, and so you said something, I'll just reiterate what I heard, is this is pretty typical to other sources of energy, and some of those, you know, where they're saying, you know, transmission should work out, and, you know, on some of these other things. So.
Yeah, we did the transmission analysis on this particular section to make sure that there be no issues with it. That's why the price is a little bit higher this first year, because some of the improvements that are being constructed aren't completed. Had they not been in the works already, we probably would not have recommended you consider going this way, because those costs, we wouldn't have known what they were, and we wouldn't want to sign something that we didn't know what the cost was going to be. And there was another big if in here, and that was if the other members of KMEA agreed to participate. All all of them have already done, their commissions has approved it, so it's moving forward. I think there's a total of 12 communities that's going to participate that's members of KMEA.
That's all I have.
Anybody else? Okay, all in favor, say approval of, I guess we've already talked about it. But all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. Carried.
Mike, thanks.
Thank you.
Good work. Item 10B, the governing body is asked to consider and approve an ordinance authorizing the issuance of industrial revenue bonds for Meadowlark Dairy Nutrition LLC. If approved, it would be ordinance number 2777-2017, and I'll invite Mary Carson to come
It's
up.
kind of a 7-day, isn't it?
Yeah.
Lucky number 7.
Yeah.
Sevens, that's good. Good afternoon, I'm Mary Carson of Triple Wolf and Garrison, your bond counsel, and you have before you your official action to approve issuance of the city's industrial revenue bonds on behalf of Meadowlark Dairy Nutrition, which is a subsidiary of DFA, as you all know, to basically issue the bonds, and in order for you to be in a legal position to grant the tax abatement that has already been approved with the county and the city and the college and school district. So what the ordinance does is essentially authorize all the documents that the city is party to with respect to this transaction, and the trust indenture basically just spells out all the terms and conditions of the bonds. The bonds are actually going to be purchased by a subsidiary, an entity that DFA created called DFN Bondholder. So they're buying their own bonds essentially, and we're layering our bond process on top of their lending arrangements with CoBank. So the trust indenture specifies our terms and conditions of the bonds. There's a lease agreement, which is actually the agreement between the city and DFA to basically pay the bonds to themselves, pay them back. And because you are retaining title to the land under your original lease agreement, we have them entering into what we're calling a site sublease agreement to give the city an interest back in the property, which we're then leasing back to them for the bond structure. So that's the bond lease. We have a agreement for payment in lieu of taxes, where they agree, once the tax exemption is approved by the Board of Tax Appeals, they agree to pay back 30% essentially of the taxes that would be due on the property to get to your agreed upon abatement of 70%. And once you issue the bonds and we get the approval of the tax abatement, it's actually 100% abatement, so you recapture it through this payment in lieu agreement. So that's what that does. The direct pay agreement is an agreement where the bond owner and the tenant and the trustee bank all agree that payments can be made directly between Meadowlark Dairy Nutrition and their bondholder, so we don't have to work through the trustee. So it'll be, kind of book entry transfers between them. And then we have kind of a catch-all section, and there's one other document that came up yesterday, but this document, this G in section 4 talks about any other documents that the mayor and the city clerk will be authorized to sign that are necessary to facilitate the financing and, give effect to the intent of all the other documents. We listed one there, a consent assignment agreement, and this is something that CoBank required, so that since they will have the primary lease on mortgage ahead of your bond lien. So that's the document there, and that just sets out what would happen if there was a default on their mortgage, and a subsequent default on payment of the bonds, how you will interact. Essentially, what will happen is that we will suspend the bond documents at that point. They'll submit the bonds to the trustee, and then CoBank will take action to realize on their security interests in the, and so the city would be out of it at that point. And the other document that came up yesterday relates to the equipment, and it's authorized as an additional document, the landlord and mortgage waiver and This is, they need you to agree, because the bonds are not financing any of the equipment. They have a separate lending arrangement with CoBank again for the equipment, and they wanted the city to enter into an agreement as landlord, since you retain the title to the land, that essentially the bond structure is not making any claim that any of the equipment would become a fixture that would be somehow securitized or have a lien on it due to the bonds. Other than that, that's the basics. So if you have any additional questions, I'd be glad to. Probably told you more than you wanted to hear.
I'll make the motion that we approve ordinance 2777-2017, 2777-2017. There we go. 27.
I'll second.
Motion and a second to approve ordinance number 2717, ordinance authorizing the City of Garden City, Kansas to issue its taxable industrial revenue bond series 2017 to Metalark Nutrition's in the aggregate principal amount of $200,000 or $200 million.
It was 2777.
2777, 2017.
2017,
Yeah.
Began to
All right. Any discussion? If no discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Carried.
Item 10C, the governing body is asked to consider and approve an ordinance authorizing and providing for the acquisition of an interest in real property to establish a walking path on the Stone property. If approved, it would be ordinance number 2778-2017. Randy?
Go ahead,
Caleb? Anybody?
I'll do it.
This is the second part to your action that was taken by resolution number 2714, 2017 on November 9th, 2017, which would authorize the city to acquire by condemnation an interest in real property for the purpose of establishing the right-of-way for the construction of a walking path. The adoption of the attached ordinance is the next step in that process.
Anyway, I prepared the ordinance. We're still attempting to negotiate purchase of this property, but we're not willing to just put it on hold pending a response from the owners. So we're proceeding with the next step.
And this is the next step then?
Yes. Okay.
I'll make a motion that we approve ordinance 2778-2017.
I'll second. Got a motion and a second for ordinance number 2778-2017, an ordinance authorizing provision of acquisition of interest in real property for the purpose of establishing a right-of-way allowance to the construction of a walking path. Do we have any discussion on that? If none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Carried.
There's no old business. Under new business, item A, Executive Director of Downtown Vision Inc., Micah Bunch, will provide an update to the governing body. Micah?
Good afternoon, Mayor and City Commissioners. I am before you today as my last time as Director of Downtown Vision. So I wanted to provide a brief update on what we've been doing downtown. I can't believe we're already almost through another year, so it's been a busy year downtown. So we'll probably close out the year with 97 members, 6 new this year. We've raised $45,000, just over that, in sponsorship and membership dollars. So we're really excited about that, staying on track with a little bit of growth there. We've recently celebrated the opening of new businesses, Elements Boutique, which has done a fantastic job. If you have not been by there yet, you definitely need to get in and see really cute things. My daughters are fans. Central Cup, because one town can never have enough coffee places, and they've done a really nice job over there on 8th Street. And Roots Juice. So, you know, we've opened up a lot of different types of businesses downtown in the last quarter, and they're doing very well. And so it's really nice to have them. Our committee work with Downtown Vision, business development and design continues to work really hard on 8th Street. They're going to be coming to you with a proposal on some ideas for 8th Street here in the next couple of weeks. And so I think that's something that will really help energize and excited about the work that, you know, the ideas that they have there. Additional Main Street improvements, CIP, you know, it's the kind of behind the scenes stuff that you don't see that we're doing, and so all that's going to be coming to you soon. Promotions Committee has been very active, and that's of course the stuff that's a little bit more visible. So we decided to put some numbers to how many people, a rough estimate of people that the downtown events brought to the downtown area this year alone, and it was just over 11,000. 11,000 people to the downtown area in 1 year, and so you know, that's pretty significant number of people that we brought to the downtown area. So we're happy about that. We've got a lot. We're not done, definitely. There's a lot of holiday events coming on with the National Shop Small Saturday. The retailers have created an event on December 16th called Sip and Shop. So definitely to promote the shopping season and so far. Okay. And some things like that. Another thing over the past year, we've been able to partner with over 30 different organizations in the community to help create awareness, and for not only them, but to bring, you know, some exposure to them in downtown. One of the partnerships that I'm really excited that has kind of taken on new life is with Beef Empire Days, and so I think that you're going to see some more downtown activities come with Beef Empire Days this year. I know that, you know, some of that had moved away, and some really good traction there, so bringing that kind of back downtown. And then just in final, I want to give a very special thank you to Caleb with the city. He has been phenomenal to work with the last 2 years. He's taught me a lot. Sometimes I think he wants to knock me over the head, but that's okay. The City Parks and Trees Department, if you guys have not seen all the lights that go up downtown, it's amazing, the amount of work. And we even had a downtown merchant come to our board meeting last night and echo this. They have put in a lot of long hours, and just, I don't even know how many hours, and it's phenomenal. So when those lights light up Saturday night, I'm super excited to see it. And then the City Electric Department, and I've talked to Mike, and we're planning a special dinner on behalf of Downtown Vision for all these organizations. But the City Electric Department, you know, we grew Fall Fest this year substantially with 40 more vendors. Half of those took electricity, and you know, halfway through the process, they kept looking at me like, "You're crazy. We can't do this." But they pulled it off. Food trucks, everything. So I guess what I'm trying to say is the city team is amazing. Downtown Vision could not do any of what we do, and I know I speak for a lot of other organizations. What an amazing staff and team you guys have with the city, and I've really, truly, personally, and as an organization, appreciated their support over the last 2 years. So, thank you. I am now going to turn it over to Downtown Vision President of the Board, Deb Euler. She's going to fill you in a little bit on the search for the new director for Downtown Vision. But thank you.
Thank you. Good luck.
I put together this hiring process chart. That really lays out the steps for how we're going to conduct the next search. We've put together a hiring committee, and we've actually had our first meeting. We've decided on our first set of interviewees, and so we'll begin that process here in the next couple of weeks. But you can kind of see the chart of from where we are to where we, you know, to the whole orientation process. And of course, the dates are subject to change. I mean, they're just kind of flexible as can be. But one thing that we are going to do a little bit differently when it comes to that second round of interviews is a public presentation part. And that will be where we invite all of you to come in and listen to the finalists present on a project that we come up with, kind of a, you know, a scenario situation. And that will give city commissioners, county commissioners, entities, any stakeholders, members, businesses, people of interest who would like to see who the candidates are, but then also have some input into that hiring process as well. And so that is something that we are planning to do. We don't have any dates yet for that. We want to see how this first round of interviews goes, and then we'll proceed as the chart says. So does anyone have any questions?
I do have a few questions.
Sure.
Over the last past few years, the membership numbers have dropped and the membership dollars has dropped over 20%. And the average membership per person has dropped significantly, and I'm wondering if you know why.
Well, I think there's probably a few factors. I know one of the things that we've worked on over the last couple of years is trying to figure out membership and sponsorships, and so it might seem on the surface that memberships are down, but sponsorships are up. And so I think looking over, I mean, just, you know, there's always that drop off, but I think Mike has done a really good job of trying to get that membership up. I don't know, Mike, if you wanted to say something on that. Well, she can give you more specifics than I can.
Sure. Our membership numbers right now are the exact same as they were in 2014, 2013. I can pull that for you. So we're at 97. That's where we were a few years ago. The dollar amount, you're correct, has dropped. And why, rhyme or reason to that, I'm not sure. That's something that, you know, analytically need to go back and look at. Because the membership levels, we've actually increased membership for the business-based level, which is exactly the level where the majority of them, from 225 to 250. You know, there's been a change also in the number of businesses downtown. So I'm not 100% sure, to be honest with you, why that has not. I've spent a lot of time talking with the board over, especially the last 6 months, and thank you for your question, because it really helped drive that conversation. And I know that in their planning session coming up in January, they're going to spend a lot of time looking at that. And the other thing is, once they do reach a max on memberships that they can get downtown, what happens then? I mean, you know, there's still a lot of members downtown that they can reach, but do they start reaching outside of downtown, or how does that look? And so there's a lot of questions on the board, I think. But membership has to be a priority, and it needs to get back to that. I've spent, like I said, a lot of time in the last 6 months really pushing and you know, trying to, you know, emphasize that, I guess, if you will. And so I think the board, it's a newer board, but they're aggressive, they're passionate about it, and you know, I think it's going to come around. I really do. We've seen an increase in members this year and some things like that, and so I'm pretty positive about the direction it can potentially go.
Well, I got these numbers from your
Sure,
organization, and that's what it showed.
Yeah.
And for 2017, it said you had 96 members. And I did ask at your board meeting, did that include the $25 shopper cards? And you said yes.
Right.
And so that brought the membership down to 82. And in 2013, it was 103. That's disturbing.
Sure, absolutely, completely understand that. And like I said, you know, I mean, it's something that can definitely be worked on. I mean, I think that it's a very valid comment, a very valid question of why that's coming out, and we're not trying to say that it's not. I appreciate what you're saying back to them, because I think it does keep it in the focus, and it's really easy for it to become complacent, exactly. And so I appreciate that, because that did, you know, give me some driving force to go back and say, hey, this is what our city commission is telling us. And so, you know, over the last 6 to 8 months, we've really started to put something together there. And not only with recruitment, but with retention, because retention is equally as important. So.
In your budget report from last night's meeting, it has special events. We have 2 months left in the budget, is at 54% of revenue that you anticipated, and sponsorships are at 71%. And so that comes up to over $25,000, and I see in the expenditures that rent, utilities, payroll, all those things are being met and paid, but the two areas that directly affect marketing the downtown are the areas that have been cut. And let's see, actually those two categories together, which is advertising and special events, that's down over $25,000. And I have to correct my number here on, the revenue from sponsorships and special events was 20,000 instead of 25. I misspoke.
Sure, absolutely. The most significant change to that is those reports are as of October 31st.
Yes.
Banner art just happened as of November 4th. So you have all of that revenue, all of those sponsorships. We were still collecting on a few of those sponsorships. So that does rectify itself a little bit as it goes on.
And you said that revenue was 7,000 last night?
No, 12,000.
12, okay.
But there's still some sponsorships and then reprints on that as well. That's probably another 5 to 6. I'm not gonna lie, every single year for probably the past 5 or 6 years, we've been down on the budgeted number for sponsorships and, revenue and things like that. It's tough. I mean, it's really tough to get out there and get that, so.
But, yeah, I mean, it definitely affects
Sure.
marketing for the core district when when those funds aren't
Sure.
there as budgeted.
I would agree with you 100%.
And I'm just wondering with that decrease in revenue and those services, if that is impacting the membership. Possibly.
It could. I mean, it's hard to say without really researching and asking them and getting into it. It would be really tough to answer that.
Okay, so I'm assuming the new director's job description will include
Yes.
membership.
Oh, of course, it always is. I mean, whenever you're dealing with a membership-based organization, membership and sponsorships are a priority. And also increasing that private support. And so that is something that as we look at the candidates, we will make sure that that is first and foremost in their toolkit as well.
Okay, thank you, and good luck with your
Thank you.
selection.
Anybody have any questions or comments? If not, item 12B, the governing body is asked to consider and approve the 2017 budget amendments that are necessary to reflect actual 2017 expenditures.
During the revised budget process, there were several funds that we noticed here in October that we needed to amend. They are listed here in your memo. The TIF, RHID, and CID fund, the valuation for those properties was higher, so it meant that taxes came in higher to the city, and so our reimbursement to the developers were then higher too. The Capital Improvement Reserve Fund, we used cash carryover that we had from 2016 into 17 for some projects. Drug enforcement, they had a large cash carryover and additional revenue that they're utilizing in their expenses. FinUp Trust also had a cash carryover that we're using here in 2017. Project development is the same way. It had a cash carryover that we're using for downtown and for incentives here in the city. Airport improvement had additional grant funds come in, so we were able to complete some projects there with the grant funds. Golf course, the city had to take over the golf shop, which we incurred some expenses on that between pros, between our previous pro and our new pro, so we had to buy supplies there. And then we had a new fund that we created this year, which is the HIDA fund. That is with the police department. They receive grant money and we provide the manpower. Staff recommends that the budget amendment, recommends these budget amendments, and we would have a public hearing on this on December 5th at 2 p.m.
I make a motion that we approve the budget amendments and the budget hearing set for December 5th at 2 p.m.
Second.
Got a motion and a second to approve the 2017 budget amendments necessary to reflect the actual 2017 expenditures with a budget hearing set for December the 5th, 2017 at 2 p.m. We have any other discussion? If none, all in favor of approving that, say aye. Aye. All opposed, say nay. Carried.
Thank you.
Thank you, Melinda. Item C, the governing body is asked to consider and approve a contract between the city and Penninger Smith and Associates for governmental affairs and legislative monitoring services for 2018. This is our core government affairs and legislative monitoring agreement. I think last meeting you had one specifically aimed at utility issues for the upcoming session. Penninger and Smith has served the city since 2015. They are also the firm that represents the Southwest Kansas Coalition. Staff would approve the contract, for which the base fee is $25,000 with reimbursement for expenditures not to exceed $500.
I move that we approve the contract between the city and Penninger and Smith and Associates.
I'll second. We've had a motion to consider and approve contract between the city and Penninger Smith and Associates for government affairs and legislative monitoring services for 2018 for a value of $25,000. Any other discussion? If none, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say nay.
I think we're ready for the consent agenda, which is items D1 and 2.
I'll make the motion to approve the consent agenda D1 through 2.
I'll second.
Had a motion and a second for consent agenda from D1 through 2. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Carried.
And that's all our business items. Mayor, would like to do commission reports?
Commissioner Sessman?
Great pre-meeting this morning. Great to see the new facilities and the business, and kind of was mentioned that that's kind of might be the new industrial area for the city in that area in the future. So great to see that going on. Certificate of achievement for reporting for 2016. 23rd year consecutive. That's pretty awesome. So congratulations to not only Melinda but all the staff for their effort and work on that. Downtown, still growing and doing good. We have to have a thriving Main Street to have a successful economy in our community, and I think they're doing a great job. Also, I'd like to thank the sponsors for the trails and maps. It's pretty awesome. We have people coming into our community to show them the trails that we have, to give them an idea that we're a walkable community, but also being healthy as well. So, great idea, and keep up the good work on that. Other than that, have a safe Thanksgiving holiday.
Commissioner Dahl?
Well, and I'd like to congratulate Melinda and the staff for once again receiving the Excellence in Financial Reporting. It's exceptional, it truly is. The Giving Tuesday, this community has such a giving spirit, and it shows up time after time after time, and all the people who volunteer and financially donate to the well-being of this community is phenomenal. And also like to thank Finney County Live Well for the map and your efforts to try and keep our community healthy and moving forward and being progressive, so thank you.
Commissioner Law?
Well, I would just echo all those sentiments, and as always, lots of great things going on. And it's the people of Garden City, it's the business owners and employees, and it's the city staff, and the stories and accolades, just roll in constantly in Garden City and Finney County, and that makes life pretty good. So I appreciate everybody's efforts to that makes all those things happen, and I would also wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving.
I'd like to echo pretty much the same as everybody said. Melinda has been with us for a number of years, and she's done an excellent job. And I guess we'll stand her up in the corner in 20 years if she's still here, just so we can say she's here. But, she's done a great job. Appreciate that.
You don't realize how old I am.
You started when you were 12.
The Downtown Vision is I thought has done a pretty good job. I've worked with Mecca several times and discussed various things, and I know her goal on downtown has always been highly motivated when we've talked, but she's also been encouraging on 8th Street. And if you remembered recently, we did approve to do the street down through there, which I think is going to change. There'll be some additional things that we may be able to address at a later date, but I think it's going to bring 8th Street into part of downtown business area by making it look more like the downtown area and making it nice. I think that's going to be nice. I'm anxious to see that. We had a pre-meeting for those that didn't get to go to it. Pre-meetings are open, so you missed a good meal for those that didn't attend. But I tell you what, we made a tour of DFA here a couple months ago, and now we went out to the truck transport operations out there, and I tell you what a state-of-the-art facilities both of them are. I just could not believe it. I mean, they have not cut any corners in anything they've done, and I think it's going to be one of those facilities that the nation is going to look at it whole as the size of this DFA plant and the transportation and the number of trucks. They could haul enough milk for us all to drink the rest of our lives and have left over. They're big time. It's just amazing. And Kansas Avenue is coming along really good. I've been out there so much, the guys have asked me where my thing was that I could wear for safety because I'm up and down the street. But it's really looking good. I think in another week or so, probably the end of next week, they're going to have it all done but that one block. And it's going to be opened up, I think, all the way to the west, and then we'll have a block of 2-lane traffic and then opened all the way up till you exit town. So it looks nice. It's really changed that whole view all up and down Kansas Avenue. So I say to all of our citizens and to our employees, have a great Thanksgiving. It's coming up. Drive carefully, go home and see Grandma, send the kids outside. It's going to be nice.
Travel
Thank you
safe.
very much.